Hello.
Hey, good morning, Russell. I don't know, we were having technical difficulties, so sorry about that, Facebook land.
Only
We're
the
starting
bottom of
all
my
over.
face is on the screen, so I think they're just seeing my mouth and my mustache and the bottom of my nose.
What's funny is that for everybody in Facebook land, we had some technical difficulties that we just made aware of. So me and Russell are ranting off for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So you
We
guys
said
missed
all the
some.
good shit. I
Yeah,
recovered it all. So
yeah,
this from
I was
here
gonna say
down,
you
it's
guys
just
missed
this
it all.
crap.
Russell and I totally
Yeah.
went over some really cool stuff already.
That was
So
fantastic shit. Really, the good stuff. Yeah.
let's remind our Facebook followers what's going on as far as like they should be smart to listen to you and I, right?
Yes, they should. Here's the thing. Um, there's only so many successful principles in any subject,
Uh-huh.
and the stuff that causes and brings about success. Can you actually see me on your screen?
I
I,
can.
I can see the top of your head, and mine. I'm just the bottom of my face is on my screen. So
No, I
whatever
can
the
see
software is, it's so fantastic.
it.
Everyone's going to want to use it from here on out, whatever the hell it is. Um, but 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 anyway, uh, being successful or accomplishing success in this business is not mysterious. There's no part of it that is mysterious. There is nothing about becoming a successful realtor that is a secret. There is nothing about becoming a successful realtor that is hidden information. What you have is you have an industry that is chock full of people selling crap to agents.
Hmm.
I mean, just an amazing amount of crap saying if you'll buy my special website, if you'll buy my fantastic set of CDs or my fantastic set of DVDs, or start having me talk to you on a regular basis, you're guaranteed phenomenal success. And it sort of implies, well, if you don't hire that coach or you don't get that gizmo or
Right.
whatever the hell it is, you're not going to be successful. That is all crap. Tons of people do it very, very well, and most people don't do it very well and actually fail. 13 out of 14 people that come in the business 2 years later are gone.
Right.
That's a fact. That's a statistical fact. And yet, what is the secret thing then? If you took a subject like pre-licensing, is there something you learn in real estate school that would actually help you to be truly successful? Serious question.
No, not at
No,
all.
no. And the people that teach it, it doesn't mean they can't teach you to pass the test, but are they teaching you something? You go learn this, and you will really do well long term and short term. Nope. And what if what? And you say, what is the thing that's interesting? Is that in order to be successful in real estate, of all of the skills, of all of the things,
Hmm.
the one skill that matters more than all of the other skills combined is lead generation. If you're good at lead generation, you can succeed no matter how bad you are at everything else.
Right.
If you're bad at lead generation, you will fail no matter how good you are at everything else.
Right.
So, do you learn in real estate schools of any kind, anywhere, how to lead generate?
Not
No,
at all.
no. And almost all of the people at the various companies that are going to teach you how to lead generate are actually all have one thing in common. They were failures as an agent. They couldn't lead generate.
Right.
All the national speakers, the only one that even comes close to have would be Craig Proctor. And the stuff that he teaches or sells isn't even what he did. But what's interesting, he's the one who could claim he actually was, in fact, a highly successful agent.
Right.
I don't take he's coaching anything like that. But the point is, all of the others, and I mean all of them, have one thing in common. They failed out of the business, they couldn't take it. So now they teach other people how to do it.
Right.
Well, what kind of when someone can't do, imagine if you were going to learn to shoot a gun from someone who's never shot one, but they've watched the accelerated home video and read a number of books on the subject, even if they had nothing but correct information, and that's doubtful, the data would be so grotesquely misevaluated if they hadn't actually done it as to make what they were saying stupid and silly.
Right.
Does that make sense? So you take a subject like, dentistry. Dental schools do not graduate people who can't fix teeth. Law schools graduate lawyers who can't practice law. Like you can find really brilliant attorneys and you can find stupid, incompetent attorneys. That's a fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like there's some of them just absolutely brilliant and they're competent and they know their business, and there are others that you go, they're nincompoops. Why?
Yeah.
Well, law schools do not, if you can pass the exam, by definition, you can get your JD. But they don't have to demonstrate competence at actually doing it. See, a dentist does.
Right.
A dentist has to show he can do it. So someone comes out of real estate school. What the hell do they know that they're going to use? The one thing I learned in real estate school that I've always been able to use all these years, an acre is 43,560 square feet. Most of the rest of it, I really don't use it a lot. You understand?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, what's in spirit of what you're saying too. What's crazy is that, in the past, in the last several years of my career, I've tried to. I and others, we've tried to create classes where CE courses where it actually taught agents and loan officers, anybody in the industry, how to fish, and yet the industry pushed back and said, "No, we're not interested in that." And they wouldn't allow it. Actually, still to this day, they don't even allow how to show agents how to fish, which is
I don't understand that statement. Help me, Ted.
Classes based on how to learn the best practices of how to generate business, whether it's lead generation.
Who won't allow it? I don't understand that.
The Department of Real Estate, they won't let CE classes be.
For continuing education.
Right.
But they're not stopping the classes. They're saying that doesn't follow. Like if their entire job, the Department of Real Estate entire job, is to protect the public.
Right. True.
There is no other function they're worried about. So if an agent's doing something that does not that is hurt or has the potential to hurt the public,
right?
Well, the department's fascinated. This is their job. But if you go, an agent, we're going to teach agents how to effectively market. We're going to teach agents how to effectively prospect. That has nothing to do with ADRE's mission, and they're never going to, and nor should they, approve a class to say, yes, here's a class on how to contact people.
Right.
You can teach those classes all you want. You just can't get CE credit for it.
I see.
But if an agent is so stupid that they're only going to take classes where they can get mandatory CE credit, that's an agent who's already decided to be a failure and a nincompoop. So you're not going to say
really
them
feel,
anyway. Huh?
Tell us how you really feel.
Well, here's the thing. I used to ask people the classes I've taught over the years, and I used to get people in the early days, is it proof for CE credit? No. Well, I'm only going to go to classes. Here's someone who's already saying, I have no real desire to succeed. I have different reasons I can think of to make myself into a dismal failure because I'm not going to take the time to learn how to do my job. See, that's the thing. So if I go back to the statement of there is no secret information, it's all available, all of it.
Right.
So if you said, see, here's the thing I've used for years. Let's say somebody goes to work for Bill Ryan at his office, a Remax broker buddy of mine out in Chandler, goes to work at Nate Martinez and Frank Russo's office. Could Frank sit down with someone? Could Nate sit down with an agent in trouble and help them on the spot? Yep, sure could. Why?
Right.
Because they've been successful agents. They are successful agents. They know exactly what's involved. And if Frank sat down with somebody and said, do this, don't do that, knock that crap off and do this, what's he going to tell them? whatever they needed to hear. Why would I make that sweeping statement? Because he's been and is a successful agent.
Right.
So there's nothing about it that would be mysterious. Nothing. You see, but you get someone who has not actually been a competent agent and competently lead generating. They have all it's complicated, or they say stuff that just isn't true.
Right.
They may be well intentioned and they may want to actually help someone, but the stuff they're attempting to teach is just gibberish because it's misevaluated data. They'll
Yeah.
misevaluate the importances and pick odd crap to fascinate themselves with. Like if you say, well, if you get this certain website, oh my God, or if you get that certain website, or if you have so and so manage your pay per click, it's no, I'm not saying any of those things are bad. If you say, well, get a Real Geeks or get a Conversion or get Boomtown, I'm not knocking any of those things. But you could take almost anything, and if you did it the way it's supposed to be done, whatever that amounted to for that thing, you could make it work. And then somebody else goes, what is it? What is the secret thing you say to people? There is no secret thing. Do you even, like an agent coming in the business, do you plan to succeed or do you plan to fail? Is your goal to be gone in less than a year? Or is your goal to be a screaming success?
Right.
Thus, if you started with an assumption, somebody coming in this business, and you said, if you made all of your decisions, all of them, on the basis of this is what you're going to do for a living for the rest of your working life. Get that now.
You
This
know,
is it. How would you behave?
yeah. So let me give you a real life example of that, because this is something that I've been more now than ever since I started Z-Busters. I'm really having this conversation because the minute that I launched Z-Busters, people started raising their hand like, ooh, I want it. Lead generation, right?
Mhm.
Leads. And then I started stacking them up and lining them up, and I started sending, getting leads sent to them. And I had several people call me back weeks later, and I told them this is a long-term this is a long-term play. You got to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm very, very clear. In fact, I spent a lot of time on this. And they would call me back a couple weeks later, like, this isn't working.
Not working. Yeah.
This is not working. This is horrible. This isn't working, Ted. And then I know that they just weren't doing the work. Because how do I know that? Because certain people without systems, but that listen to my instruction, would call back and go, this is phenomenal. Then I would even have, in fact, I have someone right now, he's experienced with years, but he's not very experienced with, internet leads, right? But he's followed my instruction and he's stacking them up. Just last night, he's texting me like, you need to talk to this person. I got this person and there's someone wants to buy. So I'm going, okay, these people are doing the work, right? It's not a magical pill. They're not taking this information, because that's all it is. It's just a phone number and a name. And they're making something of it. While some people just believe that paying into Zillow, paying into Realtor.com, paying all to these .coms, joining Z-Busters for that matter, is going to save their business. And let's face it, right? Anybody who thinks that anything's going to save them, well, we already know where they're going. They're sinking.
Well, it's not that any of those things could work. Any of them.
Sure.
Any of them could work. But there's a viewpoint you would approach something with. Like, is this, see, here's the thing. If I took a profession like lawyer, here's a fact most people don't know. It's easily, you can Google this and see it, but most people who have a Juris Doctorate degree, they've gone to all the trouble to go through law school. They've gone to all the trouble to pass the bar exam.
Right.
Which is a really hideous test that makes people crazy. I'm not making a joke. When smart, intelligent people take an examination and they don't have 100% certainty whether they passed or not, and they're waiting for the result, that's a crap test. So just use that as an example. And they graduate from law school, they've passed the bar exam. Most of those people never practice law. They find something else to do. That's a fact.
Yeah, I know some of them that have their law degree.
They don't. They do something else for a living. Now, that's a fact. So you look at all the real estate schools that we have, and all the people. You could look at the stats from the Department of Real Estate, the new people getting a license, and so the people are constantly coming in for about $1,000. You can go, I want to be a realtor, and from the time you pay for all the school and all of the join the association and the NAR and the AAR, and you get your business cards printed for about $1,000 from the time you go, I want to be a realtor till you are one. You spend about $1,000 and 100 hours of your time.
Yeah.
That's not a big commitment. That's not a huge commitment to anything. So people come into the business with the idea they're going to see how it goes. I can tell you right now how it's going to go with that viewpoint. It's not going to go well. Nothing good's going to happen, and you're going to leave the business. That's how most of them do.
Right.
But what if they came in and they thought, I'm going to learn everything I need to know, and I'm going to behave as though this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. So let's say you understand that it's just an attitude. This is you know how in Los Angeles most of the waiters and waitresses are really they're actors and actresses temporarily doing this crap. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You get people coming into real estate with this sort of they're going to check it out. They're going to check it out. Well, check it out all you want, but if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. So what's it take to lead generate? Well, there's only two ways, really, marketing and prospecting. That's the end of the list.
Right.
Even if you had the money to do marketing, if you were new, I couldn't over recommend not wasting your money because you'd waste it all because you wouldn't know what marketing to do. You could see someone else's ad and I'll copy that. Good luck. Maybe the ad never got them a call, but you can pay to run it too. So you're going to learn to prospect. What's that mean? Prospecting means you reach out to them. Marketing means you get them to reach to you. That's it. That's the end of the list.
Right.
So if you can't talk to people, and this is a people talking to business, you're going to need to learn to do that. But what is if you got a lead? What is a lead? There's a person who might want to buy a house or eventually wants to buy a house. And would they like to be high pressured?
Right.
Serious question.
No. I wouldn't.
No. So, but agents who learn to survive in the business become good, really, really, really good at lead conversion. But they've never become really good at lead generation. Get that difference. Those are two different skills.
Yeah.
And if a person can get good enough at lead generation, just that one thing, they don't have to be careful with every lead. Like you occasionally get a customer who's just a flaming asshole. I mean, seriously.
No, and you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah. What should you do? Here's a news flash. Get rid of them. Get a different customer. Find someone you're comfortable with. If you're uncomfortable with everyone, then the problem's with you. But if you're comfortable around most people, and here's this person, no matter what you say, you're wrong, you're stupid, you're trying to cheat them, let them just stop. Get a different customer. Well, I don't have any other customers. If you hang on to them, you won't have any other customers.
Right. Hey, I got a question from the audience, Russell, if you don't mind. So Michelle Shelton. Hey, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
So what are the top 4 systems that need to be set up, in your opinion, Russell, to be successful? Obviously, lead gen is number 1. Good admin, number 2. What's your thoughts?
I don't even think of it that way. I don't think of the top 4 systems. I don't, the question itself. You have, if you go back to the most important book still ever written for realtors is The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller.
Yeah.
So you take lead. Yeah, it's the Bible, really, quite literally. Leads, listings, leverage. Yeah. So when you're solving a problem, you're solving one of those three problems: leads, listings, or leverage.
Right.
If you don't have enough leads, that's the only issue you're working on. Don't work on all of them, just leads, just
Right.
that one. If you have leads, then your issue is, are you getting listings? All problems in getting listings are either at the table or getting to the table. And
Right.
leverage would be equipment, systems, uh, personnel, whatever you needed, a better car, maybe. I mean, whatever the hell you need to make it work. But if the issue is leads, so how do you generate leads? If you look at how are you spending your time, are you doing it on dollar productive activities, or are you doing it on not dollar productive activities?
Right.
If you can lead generate effectively by whatever means, then why would you ever do $15 an hour work?
I'll give you some. I'll play devil's advocate because I hear this all
Right?
the time. Right. You and
Right?
I agree on this. I mean, however, this is what I hear constantly, and this is what I talk a
Right?
lot about
Right?
when I'm presenting or I'm on a show. Um, oh well, the surface is not going to be the same if I'm not doing the paperwork, so they tend to use the idea of control as
Uh-huh.
the reason why they're not why they should be doing those menial jobs.
Well, there's a lot of reasons, and one of them is they don't want, like, if you've gone to a lot of trouble to get a customer, and now you have one who's a good like you're happy with the customer, you're reasonably certain they're going to do business with you, perhaps not even just on this transaction, or they're a referral. I mean, you want to make sure they're taken care of. Like, this is important.
Sure.
So you have this person that trusts you. Well, that would mean they're trusting you to be competent and to take care of them and give them good advice. So the first problem that the agent has is, if you're going to delegate any part of what you're doing, are you handing it over to a moron to do?
Yeah.
Seriously, are you giving this to
Absolutely.
some lame brain, like the person can't think clearly? But I got them for only $12 an hour, and I don't have to do it. Of course, they're screwing it up, and the customers don't feel good talking to them. So
Right.
the first thing would be, like, I've had people say to me that I should hire them because they're a good closer. I don't want a good closer. I don't hire buyer agents that are good closers. I hire buyer agents that if my sister needed a house, if my nephew needed a house, if one of my close friends needed a house, I would trust them completely to take good care of them. How about close? I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
It's not even an issue. Is this someone who's completely honest, forthright? If they saw something wrong, would point it out and not just let the person go into the thing. So it's, if you're going to turn a hat over, but there are certain types of work. See, if you're good at lead generation, if you can learn to get good at lead generation, your time would be worth a minimum, and I mean a minimum, of $200 an hour.
Yeah.
Minimum. You just couldn't make it less. If you could lead generate effectively,
Well,
your
good to
time.
know. I usually use $150, but I would
Yeah,
I would agree.
yeah.
$200 minimum.
$200 minimum. So
Yeah.
if you're doing something besides presenting offers and finding new customers, you go, why? Why are you doing it? So there are people who are really, really good. I mean, they're really good at handling things, but they're not good at generating new business.
Right.
Well, those people, and doesn't mean they're stupid, they're just not good at generating new business. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't get someone like that, who's smart, caring, a good person, to help you, and you pay
Right.
them for it. And people go, well, they won't know it as well as me. No, they'll guess they'll have to learn it, won't they?
You know, uh, like a couple weeks ago, I had Rick Giha. We sponsored Rick Giha into town, and he
Uh-huh.
ended his class with very similar to what you're saying. He said, if you're I'm going to leave you with this. If you're in the
Huh?
business of helping people because you love to help people, you believe in the American dream,
Uh-huh.
you will not last in this business because that is not your job. Sure, we have to be sincere about what we do.
Yeah, yeah.
However, if that's what you're defining yourself as why you're in this business, you will be out very soon. Be very clear. You are in the lead gen business, and that's what
Correct.
you're doing. That's what you're
Correct.
supposed to be doing.
I
So,
would
yeah.
agree with that 100%. The truth is, when someone comes in the business because they love people and they love houses, my response would be, give it 6 months, you'll hate them both. Uh,
I love it.
because it truthfully,
Yeah,
it,
it's a tough
if
business.
if you have, well, it is and it isn't. It's an
Well, it's
easy,
rewarding.
it's an easy business if you focus on the things that matter.
Yeah, true.
If you focus on the things that matter, um, you look at, like, if you look at logic versus illogic. Um, if you take just take that where something's logical or it's not logical. One of the primary errors in logic is misevaluated or altered importances. Like like is this really important? Like
Right.
an altered importance. So if someone is constantly working on things that don't have the charm of deliberate nonsense. You understand what I'm saying there? Like if you just pick something, so if you're working on getting new business and then taking care of the business you have, and you dedicate time to doing it. If you look at the number of homes the average agent sells, well, here's an example. Let's take what company in the world has the most wisdom collected? Obviously, Keller Williams. No one
Right.
even comes. No other
That's the
company comes
first thing
close.
that came to my mind.
Yeah, no other company on the face of earth even comes close with the amount of accumulated wisdom that they truly have, thanks to Gary Keller. That's just a statement of fact, and I'm not with KW.
Right.
Now, I've over the years given between 40 and 50 talks at Keller Williams offices. One of the first things I ask every single time I've given a talk at a Keller Williams office, who here has read Shift? Who here, by a show of hands, who here has read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent? Who's read
Yep.
Gary's book, The One Thing? And in
Right
a
here.
room full of 50 people, less than 10 would raise their hands. Hardly any have read all of them, and most of them haven't even read one. And if I said, what is the average production per year for a KW agent? Six deals a year. Now
Right.
this is the company that has the best information, the most fantastic information, and it sits there ignored. It's interesting. It just literally sits there ignored. And you go, why? I guess they're working on something else, but I don't know what the something else is. So if you took the one thing, just that one book, and Gary talks about what would be your focus, what your one thing would need to be if you're going to succeed in real estate is lead generation.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. And most agents do not actually have any systematic plan for it. It's a random thing. And you look at how they'll get business. Well, I was at this party and met a guy, or I remember one time helping my nephew, and I said, I wanted you to take the last 10 deals you did, and I want you to come back to me when you have that last 10 deals. I want to know every single escrow. And so I took them one at a time, and I said, how did you get that deal? And his answer to each one of them, by the way, at the time, was the guy just called me. And I said, how'd you get your number? Well, he just called me up. That's how I got the deal.
Right.
Now, you follow this. So I said, okay, well, I want you to call him and ask him how he got your number. Just call him? Yeah, on the phone. Use it. Call him. I want you to call him and find out how he got your number. And this was an actual instance of one. And he called back. This guy named Fred. I don't remember the name. It's been years. Fred told him to call me. How'd Fred get your number? I don't know. Call him. Call Fred? Yeah. Get Fred's number and call him. Call Fred and find out how did he get your number.
Right.
And he's like, "Well, what do you mean? You call your guy back that sold you got
Pick
the
up the
deal,
phone.
and call him. But I want to know where that guy got your phone number. I have to know." So he did it, and he gets that guy's phone number. And I said, "And how'd he get it?" And his answer, this Dustin tells me then, "Well, this other guy, Bill, told him to call me." And interesting. How did Bill get your number? I don't know. Call him back and do the same thing. So he does. And what he finds is that guy got his number, a neighbor handed him Dustin's card. Now, what was interesting about this, how did the neighbor get the card? Dustin was out contacting people he already knew. Get the beauty of this now. And he gave that guy a card. A couple of days later, that guy gives this other guy Dustin's card. And then that guy tells this other, anyway, it was 3 people removed. But what was the activity he was engaged in at the time, contacting people in his previously met database, even
Right.
though he didn't have a database? But that was the correct name of the activity he was engaged in that brought him the business. Get that
Would-
difference now.
So that's a beautiful segue to a question that was just asked. So Russell, what is your advice for our best defense against Zillow, Redfin, the purple bricks, the et cetera, anything other than our sphere of influence?
Well, first of all, don't focus on defending against any of them. Purple Bricks is guaranteed to go broke here. They just are. And the reason they're guaranteed to go broke here is they're running TV ads. What they've never bothered to check on is Phoenix is the most competitive market in the country, period. And here's why. Realty executives started the 100% concept many years ago because of Dale Rector. But what changed the industry, and it was a huge change in the industry, wasn't KW or Realty Executives or Remax. It was the 100% knockoff companies.
Right.
And that changed the world. But that world hasn't changed anywhere but here. Get that. So Phoenix is the only market in the country where almost all of the agents are with 100% companies. The fees that agents get charged here in Phoenix is about half of what it is everywhere else. Tucson, the fees are higher. Los Angeles, the fees are higher everywhere else except here. Keller Williams charges, their cap rates are half here what they are elsewhere because Phoenix is so competitive. Now, the
Right.
reason why am I saying this? Purple Bricks charges $3,600 to list the house cash up front, or the person signs a note for the $3,600.
Oh, wow.
And when the house, when the listing runs out, or if they want to cancel, they still owe the $3,600 because there's a lien on their house. So how long is that company going to last? Depending on how well they're financed, maybe a year, maybe 2, then they're gone. They're not going to go anywhere. Zillow, the idea that you need to somehow defend yourself against Redfin has never made an impact here whatsoever, ever. When
Right.
Redfin started, they have morphed and morphed and morphed and morphed, and now they're just like a regular real estate company with an incredibly awesome website. But is Redfin going to come in here? Redfin's been here for 10 years. It's an irrelevant deal. It just is. They're statistically accomplishing nothing. Zillow, what is Zillow doing? Zillow's in the lead selling business, strictly.
Yeah.
That's the business they're in. Why are they buying houses? So they can finally master selling seller leads to agents, not just buyer leads. They already are number 1 in buyer leads. Zillow owns search. and they've mastered it, and they've brilliantly mastered it. Zillow is not going in the real estate business. As a matter of fact, the houses they buy and sell, they use an agent, my home group agent, George Lawton. They're not competing with us.
Yeah.
They're not in, they're selling leads, and they want to sell seller leads. So this isn't what are you going to do to stop? Nothing. Just keep doing your business.
Yeah.
Like none of that stuff's going to matter.
Absolutely. And
None of it is going to matter. And as soon as the market shifts to a buyer market, they're all those companies that we're going to do it for only X amount. They're all gone anyway.
yeah.
They're all gone anyway. They never survive in a buyer market. Never.
You know, and that's something when I started Z Buses, I kind of started on a negative rant. You know, for those of you watching,
how dare you?
I know, right? And people know me for being a little bit of a brash type of guy. But this, you know, when I first started, I kind of went on a negative rant. I immediately realized it's not about using negativity, rather than really educating our industry on this is the new way. This is the new way of doing business. Zillow and all these other companies, they're in our sandbox, and you know. So back to that question, what do we do to counter some of these things? Well, we just got to be better at what we're doing and doing the activity that you've been talking about.
Well, I don't even know if you have to be better. I mean, the idea of even framing it would be, how am I stopping? Here's a question. What am I doing to stop Canadian agents from coming here and taking all my business? That question makes just as much sense as, what am I doing about Zillow? Nothing. There's nothing to do. You're not going to go into the lead selling business. That's the business Zillow's in. They're not in some other business. Period. They're in the business of capitalizing on the fact they have more real estate search. They have more search to their sites than all the other sites combined. They own search. This isn't something new. This isn't something that's going to happen. It has happened. But there's nothing to work on. It doesn't mean, what are you going to do? First of all, focusing on the internet as a form of getting business. Like, what if you looked at what do most really, really, really successful agents look like? If you went across the country and you took the top 1,000 agents, there's maybe a half a dozen, 10, 20 tops who specialize in buyers, maybe 25. All the rest, what do they all have in common? They have a listings-based business, and the huge majority of them are geographic farmers. You take an agent like Kinney Kloss, Callaway's, stuff like that is the business. So if you become an expert at something, like if I say a name like Scott Jarson, what does Scott say? What? Oh, that's architecturally unique properties. It's a niche. You understand?
Yeah.
There's if you have so and so is the area expert at Arrowhead, or so and so is the area expert. You get some agents that are dominant, say in Arcadia, or there's an area where they specialize, or a type of product they specialize in. So you can still compete. Mike Mendoza used to sort of own Mountain Park Ranch years ago. And he would have still, except he changed what he was doing, oddly enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Rick Gihas said something really, and I want to mention another agent that's not mentioned a lot in our community, and I want to point him out because it's good to know who he is.
Him if he's a competitor. If I hate his guts if he's a competitor. Okay.
Ah, shit. All right, so Rick Gihas said something at the very end of his class. He said, there's only two ways to look at something that's not working, right? Or that's not working anymore. Something that you did that was successful that's not working anymore. It either no longer applies, so stop doing it, or you haven't spent enough time in mastering it.
Correct. I would agree with that statement.
And he said there's only two ways to look at that. And for instance, I've met people who are really great door knockers. Now, There's not a lot of people who do door knocking. They'll go, no, I won't door knock. That's
I
horrible.
got it.
Yet
Yeah.
these people are brilliant door knockers, and they've been able to get really good at their one thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then they start floating off and trying to do something different. I'm like, no, continue doing what you do best,
Correct.
master it. Right?
I got it.
If you want to add another layer, go ahead, but never get away from your bread and butter.
Correct.
And one of these agents that I really admire from a distance, I know him personally, and a lot of people don't know about him. Some do. Is Ruben Luna.
I know the name. I don't know him. So I was just kidding
right.
about
So,
dating him.
there you
I
go.
hope he doesn't take my
point.
Yeah.
Ruben in town, if you look up the stats, Ruben is probably in the top 3 buyer agents in the whole valley.
Got it.
A lot of people don't know that. Okay. And it's because he does something really, 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 really well. And he's belly to belly. Something that a lot of the industry has tried to float away from, yet he keeps mastering it. Correct. And he's really, really good at it. In fact, again, numbers don't lie, right? And so Ruben is somebody who's taken his one thing. He's realized that he's really good at that. And he's done really, really well. He's grown a big team. I think he's probably somewhere in the nation. He's probably in the top percentile in the nation as well.
Absolutely.
And yet a lot of people don't know him, but it's because he just sticks to what he knows and he does it really, really, really well. So
yeah, and it's never, you see, to take that example, take the Ruben Luna example. First of all, nothing that Zillow, Redfin, Open Door, offer, it's not going to change anything. Like for Ruben Luna.
Yeah.
Hi, he knocks on a door. I'm not even saying his script is what you go, hi, would you know anyone that wants to buy a house? Oh, well, we do, or whatever. But my point is, he's not dependent on the internet to bring him business. And what are the odds that someone else is going to go, oh crap, if Ruben's getting all that business, I'm going to go knock on the same doors and take it away from. He's got a competition proof business because, first of all, if there were 10,000 people listening to this right now, less than 30 of them would actually consider going and knocking on doors.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And the ones that did
absolutely.
it after a couple of days would go, oh crap, this didn't work.
Yeah.
And so it's not
even with the leads that we generate, I would say only about 2% of the people that are in our program even do what's required to create some level of result.
Yeah, here's an interesting thing. Years ago, I was part of a group that Steve DeLaviaga, titled Big Shot with Fidelity.
I remember that
name. And Steve set up this group and was part of this group that they took these different banks and fed us business. Brett Tanner not only got more business on pre-foreclosure stuff than anyone else in the group, Brett got more business than everyone else in the group combined. So it was a pre-foreclosure thing where we knew who was late on their payments. Wendy and I fixed up a mailer, flyer. We designed it. It was just brilliant. We got no responses to it, though. We liked how it looked. Brett door knocked and knocked on the doors of every single one of those people that he got a lead on. So they kept feeding him more leads. It got to the point where the woman from the bank who was in charge of approving the seller for the short sale would come with him to his listing appointment, take the app and approve them on the spot. This was sort of amazing. Wow. This was sort of amazing. What did he do that nobody else in that group was willing to do? Go out and knock on the door.
Yeah. So that leads me to a question from the audience. Jennifer Romero, thank you for being here. What's the best way to find an area to farm? Most are saturated with agents already farming.
Well, it wouldn't be whether they're farming or not. It would be, does any of them have penetration? Like, does any agent? So before you pick an area to farm, it's easy to do a market study, take and go back at least a year and take every single listing that was listed, sold, expired, take every category and just ask the armless system for, I want the address and the agent name, and just see if any agent has any, like something more than 5 or 6% of the market. Because if they do, let's say you get someone, you find an agent has 15% of that market. My advice, shop elsewhere.
So question, how do you find, Jennifer asked, how do you find that type of data?
Well, from armless.
Okay.
From armless. You're literally wanting to see. Armless shows the agent who listed it. Armless shows, so you can easily see from the tax records. In fact, they have a class on it. You could get somebody at Armless to help you if you're not sure how to do this. But what you're going to want to do, and then we would use, before Wendy and I would do it, we would actually take carrier routes and go through the carrier routes and where they were and figure, is this an area? Because if somebody else, in fact, there's one area where we took a zip code, but we had agents had pockets in there where they were dominant. We just farmed around them.
And you know, something that I noticed, Russ, and it's just something that came to my mind, so it's kind of semi-random. I see these postcards land on my doorstep and, you know, all over the neighborhood. And it drives me crazy how many of these marketing pieces never have a call to action other than a phone number.
I don't
It's like,
think you
I don't
have
want to
to have
call
a
you.
call. Yeah, I don't think you have to have a call to action. I
Okay.
think there's certain data ideas, like if you're doing geographic farming, let's start with an obvious couple of statements. So if you had a farm of 1,000 houses, which won't be enough to support you, but let's just use this example. Here's why. You'll see in a
Right.
minute. So if the average turnover was around 7%, so if you had an area of 1,000 homes that you were farming, just strictly from mailings and stuff, so forth, that's 70 sales a year if you captured 100%. You're never going to capture 100%
No.
in an area you don't somehow control. So then you go, if you could capture 20%, you'd be doing great. That's 14 houses a year. You understand what I just said? Out of 1,000 homes you're mailing to, that's 14 sales a year if you could get to 20% domination.
Gotcha.
So you're going to have to do something other than just mail to them or mail to a really big area if you're going to
Okay.
have it matter. There's something else that I want to make sure gets covered here, and that is there's something about the real estate business that sort of tricks agents. And if you just have this knowledge, you won't get tricked. And here's what that thing is. You could do everything you ought to be doing. This goes back to it didn't work. You could do everything you ought to be doing to successfully and effectively lead generate. Or not. You could do nothing you're supposed to do. You won't pay for it this month. You won't get the benefit this month and you won't pay for it this month.
Right.
It takes about 3 months on average. That's 3 months on average to have the benefit of what you did or suffer the consequences of what you didn't do.
Listen, Z Buster followers, what do I say? 90-day minimum.
Yep. Yep. It just is the deal. So you could start, let's say the month of January, you went out and you were just a whirling dervish and you just did everything that you should have been doing, could possibly mechanically do. Well, March or April is going to be a fantastic month for you. You
Yeah,
understand?
absolutely.
Conversely, you could watch TV all month, go to lunch with your friends, watch movies during the day, do mindless crap that doesn't matter. March or April is going to be a real crappy month for you. It's not an immediate thing, and because if anyone who came into this business used to a paycheck and they went, well, if I worked real hard that week, I got this money the Friday or whatever. This doesn't work that way. So, and here's another thing. So first you'd have that, I call it the 100-day rule, but here's another little thing to know. How many listing appointments would you need to go on to take a listing? I want you to look at this. This is, and these people that go around saying I list 90% of the houses, like they're idiots, they're liars, or they can't count. Here's the deal. Before the run up in prices for 15 consecutive years prior to 2004, my numbers at the table, and this would be thousands and thousands of appointments, ran consistently between 56 and 58% of like the interviews to listings taken. This year, because it's so much more competitive and it's so much like you're because the expireds have been so nothing and canceled, and where you so all problems in getting listings are either at the table or getting to the table. My numbers year to date, 44%. That's less than half of the appointments we go on are we getting the listing. Is that a ratio I'm trying to improve? Nope. We just want to go on more appointments. Can you still hear me okay, Ted?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So here's the thing. If you're a new agent and you're getting less than half, like you might have to go on 4 appointments to get a listing. You're not doing bad. You're doing good. Keep going on appointments. And don't listen to people who say if somebody's listing 90% of the appointments they're going on, they're only working repeat and referral, and they're not counting the interview where they went over and didn't get the listing.
Yeah.
I mean, we do something really novel how we count a listing appointment. They knew we were coming at a certain time. We went and they let us in. if that's in, then it counts as an appointment.
Right.
And we either walk out. That's it. So you want to get away from ego-based statistics. You understand? You get away from that. Oh, I'm so remarkable. When I talk to them for over 4 minutes, they have to sign up. Get away from that crap. First of all,
I'm the best agent, and I care for my people.
Yeah. Well, but see, part of that you don't want to make fun of that, and here's why. If you look at, let's take teachers. If I said to almost any adult, in your life, you had 1 or 2 teachers that really stood out, like, man, she or he was the best teacher.
Right.
If you were lucky, maybe you had 3, but 1 or 2 in your whole education. Now, here's what's interesting. Let's talk about that teacher. Was that teacher the smartest of all the teachers? Not necessarily. Was that teacher the most educated of all the teachers? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
What quality did that teacher have that made them so special? They cared about the student learning whatever it was they were teaching. Just that one thing.
Absolutely. So let me back up.
Let's go back to agent. An agent who cares about their customers, you're talking about the same thing. So I don't want to make fun of that.
No. And that's not what I was basically making fun of. It's where some people in this industry they say that out loud, and yet it's not really. That's not scalable. Right. I mean, of course, we have to care about who we deal with and the service that we provide, and we have to be the best representative for our clients. Absolutely, no doubt. It's just I hear it all the time, in that's their value proposition, and I'm like, well, you got to know a little bit more than that, because sure.
Well, here's the thing though. There's 2 things here. So you're talking about scalability and modifying. Like the care factor, but you can't ever move away from the care factor.
No,
or else you can scale it right into crap. Because if somebody doesn't have their eye on the prize, they're going to run a crappy business. Yeah. So can you get big and still give amazing service? Yes. Absolutely. But when you hire people, you can't hire people that don't care about the client.
Absolutely not.
You can't hire people who don't care about the outcome and don't care about results and don't care about the customer being taken care of.
Correct.
That's a deadly mistake. So but there's a ways. Like if I go to my doctor, he doesn't ever give me a shot. He doesn't fill out forms with me. He doesn't sit around and chat with me. He's extraordinarily busy, but he has a staff. His assistant Perla takes me down, takes me to get the extra. So you get this sort of thing. Do I
Yeah,
feel I'm being taken care of? Yes. Like when I go to
absolutely.
my dentist, unless he's actually doing something to fix my mouth, somebody else in his office is actually working on it. So you can get somebody who's really knows their business. That doesn't mean you have to sit. If the customer is going to need to be talked to from start to finish 10 hours, doesn't mean I need to talk to them the entire 10 hours. But if I talk to them personally, like when I come on the front end, and they go, well, gosh, well, what if I have? I said, if you have any question at all, at any time, you just say, I want to talk to Russell. I'll talk to you anytime, day or night. You can
And
talk to me.
something that people missed early on, because you and I had I had some technical difficulties, and that definitely comes up to. I just want to quickly
Yeah,
revisit The Godfather. Okay,
yeah.
why The Godfather? And this is something that I labeled you personally. So so somebody asked me the other day, why do you even mention that? Who's Russell to be the Godfather? I'm like, well, Russell, first of all, the Godfather is a person who's respected. It's also a person who cares for his own. And one of the things that you've done throughout the years, and I want to commend you for this publicly, is that you've given every time I've asked you for a favor, come on the show or do this. A lot of other people, you've never asked for a dime.
No, and I
And you,
don't take money for this kind of work. It's not that it would be bad. It's just that I don't want to confuse the issue. That's why I'm not trying to help someone so that I can recruit them. I'm
right,
not trying to help someone so I can sell them some coaching package.
right,
I'm not selling anything
yeah,
except here, use these ideas, they'll help you. As I said earlier, help is the basis of all association.
yeah,
And it's interesting, when you're really clear on what you're trying to accomplish. Like if I'm talking to someone on the phone or in person who's having a problem, I have one goal: help them identify what's wrong, and so that they don't have to be the effect of it. And
right,
when someone says the reason I'm not doing more business is blah blah, no, it's not. If when you have something wrong that isn't fixing, that isn't resolving, and I mean quickly resolving, whatever reason you've come up with for it being wrong is not the correct reason. And the way I know that is if it's still wrong, you haven't identified the real issue. When you get someone saying something like, well, I'm my own worst enemy, what are they going to do about that? You understand?
yeah,
It's just an idiot statement because it doesn't lead to a resolution of anything.
right,
Stop.
right.
All right, stop. I'm giving you an order. Stop being your enemy.
It's just more of a mental beat down.
Right. It'd be just giving the person shit, and the problem they're already having is they're giving themselves shit. They don't even
Right.
need someone else to give them shit. They're giving themselves the shit.
Yeah, and it's the
So,
worst kind of shit.
right, it really is. If someone
Yeah,
else spoke to you that way, you'd punch them in the face.
right. It's like
So,
whatever.
but my point is, so when a person, like when someone says, well, I'm really mad about blah, blah, and they're really upset, they haven't identified the actual source of their upset, because once you spot exactly what it is, you'll stop being upset.
Yeah,
So the right why opens the door to handling. So if you're not doing enough business, do you even want the business? I mean, I'm not making a joke. If you took what are the requirements to achieve anything, and they would be these three: name, want, get. If you can't exactly name something, you couldn't possibly want it. Does that make sense?
yeah, absolutely. And there's a question in regards to this.
Mhm.
So, Russell, what has been the best lead generation activity for you, and what would you suggest for a newer agent? What would be the best lead gen activity for a new agent to try for the next 90 days?
So you have two different issues. So let me go back to that thing, name, want, get, because this is so. What is the exact name of what you want? And then get, is your want unconditional or does it have modifiers on it? So let's go back to now your question on what's the best thing for a new agent. Go see every single person you know who would recognize you on site and let them know you're in the real estate business. Just start with that. Go
Right.
see them. Don't call them. Like people, if they would know you, they saw, oh, it's Fred, Holly. Like if you worked with them for 20 years at Honeywell. Let's just use, I'm using that as an example. It doesn't matter
Right.
what you did. But they know you as the guy from Honeywell who used to work at Honeywell, the girl who was a teacher. You understand what I'm saying
Yeah.
here? They don't think of you as a realtor. They're not thinking, oh, we need to call Frank. He's in the real estate business now. He's our friend.
Right.
They don't even have you on their radar because you haven't come out of non-existence with them as an agent. See, like a new loan officer, you're not a new loan officer. Even with Ted Canto, he's been doing this for years.
Right.
People think like I don't think of. I wonder what Ted's doing. You understand? You don't have.
Yeah.
There's no confusion on the part of the other person. So, new agent, make a list of everyone who would recognize you if they saw you.
Right.
You don't know the guy's last name. His first name is Bob. Put Bob. How would you find Bob if you wanted to go see him? Come up with something, a list. I don't know, when the Suns play, a recipe, a list of libraries, something that if someone handed one to you, you'd go, hey, thanks. And
Right.
have it printed up at Kinko's or whatever. Put your picture on it, put the name, your company name, your phone number, your email, how to get a hold of you. Go see them.
Yeah.
Go
Become
see
become a
them.
brand. I mean,
Yeah,
become a
and
brand.
hand one. Hi, I was just in the area. I was just near you. Even if you drove 10 miles to get there, I was just in your neighborhood. I wanted to pop by and give you one of these, and then turn and to chat with them. Get the hell out, and then as
Yeah.
you're leaving, turn maybe, hey, if you know anyone that needs to buy or sell a home, please keep me in mind. I would be honored if they mentioned your name. I'll drop everything and take care of them, and then get the hell out. And keep doing that. Keep
Cool.
doing that. That one thing, keep doing it. What's it going to cost? Almost nothing. All
Yeah.
yeah, you couldn't get your done. Tell them you're in the real estate business. Get an email address. Find a way to start sending them something, and just stay in touch with them, reminding them you sell houses. That's what to do.
Let me
And
ask you,
all
Russell.
other things, stop doing them.
We're coming to an end, so a couple of things I'd like to ask you.
All right. Uh-huh.
Obviously, I've been talking about it. Everyone's been talking about it. 2019, right?
Uh-huh.
Here we are. Market's compressed. There's some people in the industry, some talking heads that say about 30 to 40% of loan officers will be out of the business, and approximately 15 to 20% of agents will be out of the business. First of all, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, there's
Second,
people always leaving the business, always. So
yeah,
those kind of predictions, like 30% of the agents in existence are going to leave. You could make that statement any year you wanted to make it. It would have always been a true statement. So
that's true. Touche.
in any given year, you could have said 30% of the people who are in real estate now at the end of the year won't be. That's an easy
Right.
statement to make, and it's not exactly a revelation, and it doesn't matter because you're going to
Okay.
decide. If you're listening to this right now, you're going to decide, is this what you're going to do from here on out for a living? If yes, behave that way. Think of it that way. Make
Right.
all of your decisions based on, this is my career for the rest of my working life. Treat it like that. It's your baby.
All right. It's your business.
It's the
It's your
deal.
business.
It's what you do. And if you're in the business trying it out, just leave now. You're not going to succeed.
Right.
Seriously. Just if you're either in or you're out.
Right.
You're either in or you're out. And if you're on a maybe, well, I'm sort of, and let's see how it goes. I'll tell you how it's going to go. If you're coming into it to see how it goes, you're going to fail because you're going to meet some obstacle. All right, that does it. If this is going to happen, what if the first 3 deals you write fall out of escrow over appraisal issues? Are you going to leave the business, or are you going to keep going and write that fourth one? You
Right.
understand? Are you in or are you out? You understand? You can't be half. If you're halfway and maybe and sort of and it's conditional, well, then you're going to fail out. You'll be gone. Just leave. Go get a job. Go
Yeah.
back to whatever it was. But if you're going to be in, that's just a decision. That's all it is.
Right.
That's all it is a decision. So name, what do you want? I want a lot of customers who will buy houses from me, your new agent. I want at least 15 sales this year from people that I meet or know to buy a house from me, or I want at least 20 sales this year, whatever your number is. And
Right.
then that's a decision. And you behave like it's already a fact and it's going to happen. You go do it.
Yeah.
It's not complicated. You don't need to know everything to succeed. What if I don't know how to fill out the offer? Oh, dear God. There must be a dozen people. If you're your broker, somebody, you can learn how to fill out the form. If you say to the buyer, I'm going to have to call my broker to make sure I get this exactly right so there's no errors on your contract. No buyer in the world's going to go, well, hell, I don't care for you. They're not trying to rush the process at that point anyway. Like,
Right.
go find a customer.
And
You
so,
understand?
so what I'm hearing, and it's something that several of my coaches, I've had a couple of coaches over the years. What I'm hearing when I'm listening to you is the word consistency. Stay consistent to your activity,
Yeah, yeah.
because, and I'm guilty of it too. I think somewhere, I know I've heard this in sales trainings throughout the years. The average time a salesperson, it doesn't matter what kind of salesperson, spends on a successful activity is about 6 months, and then we go try to reinvent something
Right.
else versus staying consistent.
You find something that works. Let's go back to your perfect example. Your perfect example was Ruben Luna.
Yeah.
There's a guy, he found that he could knock on doors and figured out what kind of scripts to use, what to say, what not to say, and then he kept doing it. Fantastic. Fantastic.
And he's stealthy because a lot of
Yeah,
people don't even know who
that,
he is,
that's
right?
not the important part. The important part, in fact, if you take who's the top agent in all of our list, Beth Ryder. Most people don't know who she is.
Yeah.
So there's two different things. I could say I'm the most well-known person in the valley in terms of real estate. If that translated into business, I would be doing 5 million a month or 10 million a month. It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't even close.
Right.
So you don't have to be famous to be successful.
Right. Yeah.
Let's say you find this thing. I'm going to use the example of Ruben Luna. I don't know him, but what he's doing is awesome. He found a thing he could successfully do to generate deals, and
Yep.
then just here's the part that's just so fantastic. Keeps doing it.
Right.
That's the key, as opposed to I wonder what I could change this to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Let me fix what's not broke. Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So,
crazy. Well,
so
hey,
go
Russell,
see the people you know.
we've been on here for a while, and thank you so much for your time. Thank you,
My
everyone. Sarah, Randall. Randall does have a good question, and I want to know, so I'm going to
I
ask
want to
it
know.
to close out. So, how did Russ
I
make
want
it
to
through 2008 and 2011?
So listen to me slower. I didn't hear the question.
Oh, it said, how did Russell make it through 2008 and 2011?
2011. Well, the worst year we ever had was 2008. The second worst year we ever had was this last one, 2018. The company changed to an internet-based phone system, and we weren't getting our calls. We thought the ads weren't working. So our first 6 months were awful. We just literally had the worst year we've ever had. Well, we got the phones fixed, but anyway, it was a miss because we didn't know what was wrong. And then once we figured it was the phones, that became its own nightmare to work through. But that's all behind us. So the answer to your question, it'd be like this last year, I had some physical difficulties. Uh, they're all behind me now. But the thing, I'm going to quote Winston Churchill. This goes back to 2008. If you're going through hell, keep going. Don't park there. Don't stop. Like, you don't control the market. I don't control the market. I don't control interest rates. I don't control any of that stuff. But you don't have to go into agreement ever with a failure mentality. If the market suddenly shifts or gradually shifts and it's not seeming to shift in your favor, what would you need to do to win? So, what would you need to do to win? I just don't want to move away from that Ruben Luna example. This is not me telling everyone go knock on doors.
Right.
What it is me saying is find something, no matter what the something is, that you can do to get business and do it a lot. Do I think everyone's going to be good at door knocking? No, I really don't.
No.
I don't believe that. I know a guy, Blair Ballin, he makes most of his money calling
Ballin
people on the
Blair.
phone. Yeah, but he does cold calls. Brian Gubernick, you might not know his name, is one of the most successful agents. He and
Yep.
Brett Tanner, they're dialing demons on the phone, and
Yep.
they teach people how to make calls. And if people don't want to make the calls, they don't get to keep staying working there. And
Right.
so are Brian and Brett amazing on the phone? Yeah, they are. But more importantly, they've trained a whole bunch of people to be amazing on the phone. And sort of the secret is make the calls.
Mm-hmm.
So if you show better in person, obviously Ruben does. See, he's
Right.
whatever combination. He's apparently quite charming in person. He's
Right.
effective in person. He might have tried calls and it didn't work as well for him. Somebody else goes, oh God, I'm really good at calls. Then make calls.
Right.
Find
Yeah.
a thing. You don't have to be good at 15 things. Just a thing and do it. When you're brand new, you might not know what that thing is. Try everything. And when you find something that works, do it again. And it keeps,
Yeah.
do it again. And then once you find it, don't change.
Right.
Keep
And I
doing
tell
it.
people, right, stick to your pillar of business. However, if you want to add a pillar of another pillar, that's fine. However, don't exchange your pillars of business.
There you go. You got it.
Right. Absolutely.
Thanks.
Well, hey, Russell, again, I want to thank you so much. This is our first show, so I hope the audience enjoyed our show today. I definitely I always enjoy my time with you. You're a funny dude, man.
Love being around you.
But so again, thank you so much. It's 2019. We're excited about 2019, and I'm sure you are too. Year. Some people definitely are a little worried, but again, I think what we're talking about today definitely points to the future and points where people should focus on and do the activity that really matters most. And that's really what we're here about. So anyways, Facebook land, thank you so much for being here. This is Z Busters. We're bringing the evolution to you live. And remember, we do leads, we don't do donuts. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks, Russell.
Okay, pal. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.